American Legion baseball, Tony Holt and Chris Holt weren't gonna let you show up late. Remember all those meetings at the Holiday Inn parking lot out there west of town? On our way to Woodward and Midwest City and parts unknown.
Oh, Walter's talking about round bale.
It's back when you could play summer baseball for the low price of about $100. Now you can't get by one day without $100. Sure were.
Ron, did you get
About 60 games a year.
Wait, Ron, did you get thrown out to Logan too?
No.
Tony get chunked. Those guys were right before I got. That was your generation was right before I got to. I was playing on the AA team. I think that summer y'all were. I think it was 8th grade. You guys were really good. Some good newspaper articles from those old majors, American Legion majors years, summers. Those stat sheets from like Matt and Brad and Drew, all those kids, those years. There was some summers where the stats were like 200 at bats. Guys had like 200 at bats. Devlin hit like 458. I mean, it's awesome. Like those were real seasons. It was like a real season. It's awesome.
Now that one year, Matt played up with you.
Yeah.
I think Tom and him said it was one of the best.
Yeah, we were on the same team one time. That 9th grade, he was 9th grade, and I was a senior. And then that summer, we were on the majors together.
AA coach scrapping at Tony.
Yeah,
He would have been better.
that's right. It's fun.
Sorry.
What we play about? We played like 60, 58 games, and I mean it was awesome. Played in the zone. You play your zone, state.
Best ball around.
Affordable and Owasso, Claremore, Durant. I mean, oh my gosh, Midwest City's team was always stacked. Then you went out west, and we'd catch a couple teams up north. And of course, the Travelers would roll in here with a team full of Oklahoma's finest. I mean, holy cow. Oh. I saw that one stat sheet, like Damon Miner had 28 home runs and Ryan Miner had 30. I'm like, what?
We're ready to get started?
Yes.
Sure. All right. We're not doing it. Well, I'll let you guys fire away.
All right. I guess I'll start. Well, I'm glad everybody's here. Thanks for coming. We wanted to just provide you some hospitality and thank you guys for all the great articles and great coverage you provided our team last year, and shed a lot of light on a great bunch of kids and just celebrated what those guys did. And so appreciate your support and your following, and we're looking forward to another exciting year. And from there, you guys take it away.
Talk about the youth of your team.
The youth of our team, we got a nice group of kids in their first year with us, and I think they've all adjusted well. Summer school provides the freshmen with a little bit of a head start in terms of adjusting to campus life and academics, and I think it allows them to get into the fall semester and be more in the moment. And many of them had, I think, productive falls, and been excited to see the nice growth in them since they've returned after Christmas break. So I think the youth of the program is good, and it's exciting to see the way they're welcomed in by the returning players. And I'm excited about what those kids can do, not only for this year's team, but for many years to come.
The departure amount of leadership from last year's squad, who do you hope, who do you want to see step up in that leadership role now this year?
Oh, I think it's exciting to watch how kids evolve. So many great moments and experiences that we had last year have led to some of the returning players being more confident and being more willing to step forward and embracing the chance to lead. And I think you see it every single day. Garrett Benj is an everyday player that shows up, loves baseball, very inclusive kid. There's a core of older players that have been around here for a long time that they show up to the field every day. Buffetts and Cobbs and Sluters and Dustin Williams and all these kids that have played here now that know what it takes every day in terms of the work ethic, the routine, the energy, the ability to bounce back from one day's work that didn't go so well, only to show up the next day and be ready to go again. So through your performance, through the way you work at the game, through the way you treat your teammates, the example you set off the field about doing all the things right, we've had great leadership from many kids to this point that's helped this team start to form its identity. So, when you start playing the games, that's when you take on a different type of leadership that you're speaking on, that you can see visibly from the stands and how your team plays. But to this point in the year, I've seen a number of kids just be a great example of what it takes on a daily basis to be successful. And that extends in all areas of these guys' lives. We only get them for 4 hours a day. What they're doing in school, the other 4 hours, what they're doing away from the field, the other 4 hours, and then obviously get their rest and wake up and do it all over again. But I'm pleased with the group. We still have a long way to go, but we're making good steps each day, and that's all you can really ask them to do is show up here ready to grow this team with this group of people and start to work their way into those roles, and we'll see what happens.
With those guys coming back, having been to Omaha, having excelled and got to the point they did with last season, can you tell a different hunger, a different determination to get back to that point and take it further, or not?
Well, I sense a real focus in all the kids, that's for sure. I think when one season ends and the journey for the next season begins, you don't spend a whole lot of time reflecting back on the previous season. I think what you do is you dive into what we need to accomplish today. And I see players working on making adjustments to their swings and adding new pitches and getting stronger and becoming more durable and all those things that I think one great season teaches you. Yes, this was successful, but in order for us to grow and for me individually to get better, I have to get better in these areas. And I see kids attacking those areas, and I see them doing it with some clarity and some real conviction. So I think what you take from previous seasons is those lessons, and then the way in which you go about working on and moving ahead. I think that's where that motivation factor or that desire to elevate your own performance for the good of our team, that's where you see that in the kids. And I've certainly seen that, as you said, but it's not something that, you walk around talking about. It's not something that really can do you a whole lot of good in the now, as much as just know in order to play that type of baseball again, there's many, many things that we have to do as a group before that can happen.
9 days out, how have the roles on that pitching staff kind of been ironed out over the last few weeks?
We've had 3 excellent scrimmages in a row. The last 3 days have been really, really positive for our team. I was super impressed by the way the team went about it. We threw the ball good, swung the bat pretty good at times. So I think going through this upcoming weekend where we'll scrimmage again 3 more times, then we'll have a better idea of how that first weekend will line up, and Rob will start to kind of put guys in order. But, we've got some comfort in knowing that Tyler Buffett and Jensen Elliott are very dependable, established, quality starters. We've seen that. We got a number of other candidates that could start game 3 and 4 on that first trip. I've been really proud of Carson Teal and the great strides he's made as a performer. He's throwing the ball great. Joe Lenhart could start a game. We got a number of guys, Blake Battenfield, a veteran who's throwing the ball really good. I'm really excited to see the season he's going to have. I think he's going to do a great job. We've got a lot of guys that could start games 3 and 4. So we'll line them up once we get through the weekend, see how everybody feels, put a bullpen together that allows us to navigate the middle and late innings, and we'll be ready to go. But I'm really pleased with the way the team is progressing, and I'm excited about the potential of many different guys in getting chances that first week.
Has the good weather been a real positive for the program in terms of evaluating kids and getting kids, time, and has that been a real
You said the weather? The good weather. Oh yeah, it's great. Yesterday was hot. It was beautiful. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to get outside a great deal, and we've certainly taken advantage of it. So yes, we're on schedule. I feel comfortable that we're on schedule. We're in good shape. We're getting outside as much as we need to. We're accumulating at bats, which is important, and we're getting pitchers slowly stretched out so that they can be healthy for the long haul and not overdoing it right out of the chute. I think you got to be very disciplined as a coach and coaching staff to just get your kids ready, which I think Rob does an amazing job of knowing where their arms are at, how to get those kids ready to pitch come opening weekend. So I feel good about the preparation so far.
Short and second catcher,
Mm-hmm.
big positions that people have to step up.
Yeah, I think that, as Rex said, shortstop, second base catcher, the middle of your field. We had such a luxury of having a constant in Donovan for 4 years, whether it be at second base and shortstop. But if you think back to Donnie's junior year when he got injured with his hamate, Jacob Chappell jumped in there and for 20 games, held down the shortstop position and played it well. And I'm really excited about watching Jacob take that job this year and go out there, play high-level defense. He's a stronger player now. He's more physical. He's got great legs, great range, great wheels. He's swinging the bat better. So I'm very confident that Jacob can play the shortstop position and play it well. I really believe in him. And he had a great mentor in Donnie to watch play and kind of pick up on some of the smaller pieces of the game that I think he now really appreciates. And then second base, we've got 3 kids that are playing a lot of second base. Andrew Rosa, Cameron Dobbs, and Ryan Cash. All 3 bring something different to the table. Whoever's at second, the other 2 will provide depth at both second and short. So we've still got a lot of great practice days and moments ahead of us for that second base job to kind of solidify itself. But I'm comfortable with the progress we've made there. We went into last year not really knowing that J.R. Davis was going to be the player that he became. And about 7 or 8 games in, J.R. Played his way onto the field and ended up being one heck of a player for us. So I like the progress we're making. I like where all 3 of the kids that are taking reps at second base are at. When it comes to catcher, tough act to follow last year. I think Colin Thoreau was as good a defender, leader, communicator as we could have hoped for, especially in his first year in our program. That kid walked in here and caught an excellent pitching staff, committed to the defensive side of the ball, hit some clutch homers for us, and really was an Iron Man back there. So we'll be a new look behind the plate, but I think we have 3 kids. Travis Wacker, a JC kid who can really defend. Michael Newsifter, a talented freshman that I think has high-end offensive ability. And Colin Simpson, a kid who was out last year with an injury. He's showing signs of returning to health. And those 3 kids all do something well. And I think they'll all get chances to get in there and help us win games. So still working through who's going to hold down a vast majority of the innings. I think you'll see multiple players get opportunities early on as we give guys chances to go out there and compete. But I like those kids. I feel good about all of them. And, we went out and recruited those boys. We see something in them that we know can play at a high level. And now it's an opportunity to go out there and see who can do it.
Is there a timeline or a target date for the return of Trey Cobb?
No, Trey's just working his way back to health right now. No hard dates or timelines. He'll stay in contact and get his checkups, and whenever he's back healthy, we'll see him on the field. But until then, his innings will be open for other guys to get opportunities. And sometimes through injuries, new guys are revealed that come to the forefront. So we're looking at it as a chance for other guys to get on the mound early. With the idea of Trey coming back to us later and then hopefully having a deeper, more well-rounded pitching staff as a result of it.
How do you see that outfield lining up?
Oh, I think right now the 3 veteran kids, Littell, Sluter, and McCain have won the 3 jobs going into this. I like what some of our new additions can bring to that outfield picture. I'm encouraged by the talent of young guys like Boone and Cabanis. Those kids have really high-end future. Great throwing arms, strong physical kids. They're just working at the game every day. I love their intensity and enthusiasm for the game. Watching them evolve has been fun. They've got a real upside to them. And Bryce Fisher, a kid from Cali County, who's a nice left-handed bat that we think complements that group. So we got 6 quality guys in the outfield, guys that we know can do some things. We've got some speed, some power, and it's always exciting to see, through opportunities early in the year, how guys grow from one year to the next. I think our 3 returning kids are all better players than they were a year ago, and I'm very confident in those kids. They'll go out and play well. But we do have some other guys that can help us, whether it's through the DH role or platoon and trying to get an extra left-handed bat in there. We have some options. So I'm pleased with all those kids.
Luke is a guy who probably didn't have the season he wanted to last year. How have you noticed him improve over the last year or so?
Sure. No, Ryan's worked at it, that's for sure. He got nicked up last year. He broke his finger, and that kind of put him on the shelf for about 3 weeks, and then he jumped back in there and never quite caught that second wind, if you will. His rhythm didn't quite come back to him, but I give him a lot of credit. He had a big home run at South Carolina to kind of get us going there, and that was not an easy environment to kind of crack the egg, if you will. And then he played excellent defense, and so even though numerically, offensively, it wasn't a great year, I still appreciate the effort as a baseball player that he provided. And as a senior, he's strong. He's working hard. His leadership skills have improved. I'm really proud of where he's at. So I would think that you're going to see a player that I think has his best season in this uniform this year.
Littell seemed to finally find kind of a groove in that run in the postseason for you guys. How have you seen him building off of that and getting that momentum going here this season?
Yeah, John played real good down the stretch last year. I agree with that. A lot of big hits. Was a more confident player in the batter's box. He went off and had a good summer in Cape Cod, which that league has an amazing way of speeding you up as a player because the competition is so good. It forces you to speed up your growth curve a little bit, and I thought he came back confident. His work ethic has always been exceptional. He's just an older, more mature, stronger version of himself, a better version of himself because of how hard he works, and he's ready to go out and play well. I know that, and I think he feels the same way. So I think John's in a good spot, real good spot.
Personnel's different every year, Josh. With the guys you got, what you've seen. I mean, do you see more speed or power, or how do you kind of envision this thing coming together with the tools that you have?
It's a little bit of everything. There's some good foot speed. I think our lineup, for the most part, will have a solid collection of runners. A couple spots will run real well. There's going to be some size and strength in there, so the ability to hit some balls over the fence, I certainly think, is in play. I think as always, the key is to be well-rounded and be able to win in different ways. We saw days where you're going to need to win 10-9, and there's going to be days you got to win 1-0. And so we want to be able to play the short game when necessary. Certain pitchers and certain elements will force us to go base to base and move runners and be fundamental. And some days we're going to have to open it up and drive some balls out of the park. And I think we've shown in the early part of the scrimmages that there's that potential there. But I don't know that we're like heavily defined by one element of the game. I would hope that our vision of ourselves and our goals will be to be a well-rounded team. And from there, I think maybe you find your groove or your go-to as you get into the season. I've always felt like the beginning of the season and the end of the season, because of the energy and the nerves, the excitement of starting a season or some of the excitement of postseason, you really need to be fundamentally sound at those times and be able to play fundamental baseball, station-to-station baseball. And then somewhere in the middle of the season, it seems like kids relax and they find a rhythm and the weather warms up, and then you see a lot of those big scores, right? You see the 13-11s on a Sunday, but you don't normally see that right out of the gate, and you don't normally see that at the end. And so I think we need to be a team that can go out and win a game in many different ways, play great defense. We're going to pitch it, and then be able to score in kind of whatever way necessary, depending on who's on the mound that day. So we've not tried to recruit to one singular style of play as much as we've tried to recruit a good, balanced team that we think is built to win at the end. So I'm excited to see what we evolve into. We're still very much a team that each and every day we're working to get better. And so but yeah, to say we're a power team or a speed team or any of that, I couldn't tell you that yet. I hope to think that we're balanced in many areas.
You mentioned the word recruiting, and it's unusual to ask a question about that this time of year for the next class.
Okay.
But I saw in the newspaper 3 guys that have pledged their allegiance to your program have all been listed first-team All-Americans by one source. All of them were at the Under Armour All-American game at Wrigley last year. How much impact did the appearance in Omaha, the long stay up there, you think play out with your recruiting? And did you notice a different receptance when you contacted recruits after Omaha?
Well, interestingly enough, the kids that you're talking about going to their senior years, those kids committed here 2.5 years ago. So their confidence and trust in what was going on here was formed quite a while ago, and that's exciting because those kids trusted a vision that we had for what we think Cowboy baseball can become and want it to be. And recruiting's at a different pace for our sport. It's happening younger and younger. So I think last year's team's exposure is probably going to show up more in the way we're viewed by current ninth graders and sophomores, because those are the kids that are actually observing and forming their opinions about your program, whereas a vast majority of juniors and seniors have already made up their minds. So it's an interesting cycle of how that impacts your program. I hope that kids see the way we play and say, I want to be part of that group because that's a real team. And they play hard and they play well and they like to play and they play in a way and have a culture there that I want to be a part of. And so it certainly has to help you, I would think, right? But I think we're recruiting competitively. We feel like we have an unbelievable situation here to bring guys into and develop them as people and players, and we're very excited about the future.
How's that mental block of Omaha? And I guess, like, since you've already broken that last year, do you have to sort of re-break that again this year, or does it once it's broken, does it just stay there? Like, we can do this.
Well, it's not a mental block for us. It's an end destination that you can't start looking towards. You have to get back into improving every single day. I'm really proud of the way our teams have grown as the season's gone on every year. That's an important quality to have as a program, is to play your best at the end and to see the improvement and emergence of players throughout the course of a season. That can only happen if you're in the moment and you're training to get better each day. As far as looking ahead and talking about the end of the season or any of those things, we really never do that. It's understood if you play college baseball in a good program where you want to end up. I think everybody knows that, so we don't even talk about it. Throwing it on T-shirts and making slogans, I think that's garbage. I think that's a pretender's mentality. You get there by working every single day and playing it like it's your last. And if your team comes together with the spirit and all the things it requires through a long season, then you might find yourself there. And that's really our mentality. We're trying to win each day as it comes to us, do the best we can with it, and build that day after day after day with the idea that that's how you get where you're trying to go. So we never have talked about it. Are people aware of it? Sure, they are. But the tone that we set and the thing we focus on is let's get better today. And that's the only way I know to approach the great challenge that is a competitive season. So we're not going to see it thrown on the wall or talked about. But our guys sure know when they get better each day, they feel good about what they're doing. And when we do that as a team, we feel good about ourselves.
Not only was Donnie your starting shortstop, he was your everyday three-hitter. Who do you see filling that role?
Yep. I think Garrett Benj is primed to hit in the three-hole. He has the box presence and the persona and the consistency about himself to do that. I feel very comfortable that he's ready to handle hitting third. And the thing about a batting order is you're only in that slot the first time through, and then from there it's about having good at bats and unifying the group to where they play their best offense together. So putting players in positions in the lineup where this player complements this player because he can do this, and if this guy gets on, he might get this guy more fastballs to hit because he can run. And you try to build a lineup that is sensible, that clicks, that makes for offense up and down the lineup. So, the first time you go through the order, you got a leadoff hitter and you got a 3-0 hitter. But once you break the ice and get through it, it's how can we put good offense together every single inning, and how does each player set the table, move guys around, get guys home, and try to put those guys together really to where it's a unit, right? And so, but I think Garrett Benj, in your traditional sense, is our 3-hole hitter. He hit righties and lefties both a year ago. He hits well with runners in scoring position. He was consistent. He did a lot of things that say this guy has the temperament and the heartbeat to hit in the middle of the order. And in that 3-hole where, for whatever reason in baseball, when you hit third, it's kind of that, hey, that's our best hitter, if you will. So I think Garrett, returning from last year, fits that mold.
Coach Holliday, are there one or two youngsters, younger players that have intrigued you, and you might be willing to share their names of guys you're just kind of sitting back and just saying, I really want to watch this kid and see how he develops, and he's got a chance of, are there somebody that's just really caught your eye that you think might be really, really good?
Sure. Yeah. I get excited about all these kids every day. Some of it's a little further along because they might be closer to that, but I would say on the mound, young guys, you're going to see Parker Scott early on. talented young left-handed pitcher. He excites me every time he throws the ball. Jonathan Heasley's a young arm. You're going to see early on. He excites me. He's got a real exciting fastball, breaking ball combination and aggression about him that I think is powerful. Position players you'll see early on. You'll see Michael Newsifter early on at catcher and maybe some third base DH. You'll see Cameron Dobbs and Ryan Cash early on the infield getting opportunities to contribute to us. And you'll see another wave of young players that are on the come. They're going to be ready to jump in on this thing pretty quick as well. So I see all that coming. With freshmen, you have to stay patient. You have to stay positive, and yet you have to pick the right time to insert them in there so that you can get them involved. And then from there, bring them along. So, yeah, we're excited about that opportunity to incorporate new faces, but also to do it in a way that allows them to be successful. And they'll usually let you know when they're ready. They'll let you know in the way they handle themselves each day. The consistency of their personality starts to streamline a little bit. And then you know a kid is emotionally ready to compete. And there's several that I didn't even mention that excite me each day. So we just got to stay with those kids, keep believing in them, keep building them up. That's what we do. That's our pride, is to get the most out of each player. And with that comes patience. And with that also comes the opportunity to get a chance to succeed or fail and then bounce back from it. So, yeah, I'm excited about the young kids in our program for sure.
Well, how comforting is it for you as a coach to have some depth and some versatility throughout your roster?
Yeah, it's important, right? Obviously, with Trey being a little bit banged up going into the year, then your pitching depth right away comes into play, and we feel good about that. And we do all across the roster. You know, we brought these kids here because we think they can play. And when one man goes down or you need some flexibility or versatility, that's when you tap into some other guy's talent. So do you ever have a roster that's perfect? I don't know if you ever have a perfect roster, but I think your roster needs to have depth at the right positions. We all know in a long season you're going to have some nicks and some bruises and some things that put a guy down for a while. So you recruit accordingly to build depth in all places. And we go into this thing, you know, just like anyone else, ready to go and hope to get everybody healthy and involved at some point.
Josh, your thoughts on how the schedule finalized and open up Big 12 play at TCU?
That's a great way to open. That's for sure. I think they've preseason #1 team in every poll, I believe, and I think that's probably deserved. To be honest with you, they have an exceptional team coming back from a year ago. Some real great individual players, but a strong run of team success there, and should be a great matchup. Hopefully, put Big 12 baseball center stage that particular weekend as we keep working to, you know, make it known across the country Big 12 baseball is outstanding. And I think with 3 teams in Omaha last year, I think that message might have started to work its way into more and more circles.
Now that you've seen Omaha, does that change any way of how you build your team as far as recruiting or how you coach to it?
Yeah, it's an interesting place to try to score. It's beautiful. It's a great ballpark. The wind predominantly comes straight in. I don't know that you can really hit it over the fence in the middle of the field. You can maybe hit it out down the line. I think you got to run the bases exceptionally well. And I think your ability to cover those gaps and cut off singles showed up in many, many instances while we were there. So it's a different feel. You feel like the outfield's playing tight because they know they can go back on the ball with the wind blowing in. So I think from an offensive standpoint, you don't want to hit a lot of empty fly balls. I think you need to be incredibly, incredibly competitive at home plate and never give away an at-bat, because one run's probably going to win you a championship game. And so to become an excellent one-run baseball team that finds many different ways to score is probably the takeaway that I had last year coming home.
What led you and Rob to believe that Jensen Elliott could start as a true freshman and have the success that he ended up having?
Rob believed that when he was a sophomore, junior in high school when he committed to us. He saw him pitch, and he said, this kid's a stud. He can really pitch. He has great command of the ball. Loved him. Knew he was special right away. He saw it in him the first time he saw him pitch. And so the vision for him being ready to come in and do some things, it showed right away. He had a presence about him, a maturity about him. Obviously has great size, but he has remarkable command of the ball, and he has multiple pitches he throws for strikes. He fields his position really, really well, and just had a ton of great ingredients that would make you think that this kid's going to be really good.
Coach, how much do you value your left-handed pitchers? You talked about Scott getting some time early, Teal, added a couple new players, transfer Heron. How much does left-handed pitching impact you?
It's nice to have both right and left-hand pitchers, especially when you face lineups that have some really, really potent left-handed hitters. It's typically a tougher look for a lefty to stand the ball going away from him. So to be able to bring some guys out of that bullpen and run the ball away from him might neutralize their power a little bit. Also might neutralize the running game a little bit. And when you play certain teams that can really run or have great left-handed hitters, if you're predominantly right-handed, they can be tough to stop. And so we like the ability to make a tough left-hand hitter face a lefty late in the game. We like the ability to try to control the running game and neutralize a team's power by having a lefty or two in that rotation. So balance is key, and it's a great question. We weren't particularly deep in left-handed pitching a year ago, so we've recruited to have a little bit more right and left balance.
Is the OU OSU game outside the Big 12 series on solid footing?
Yes. It is, yeah. It's on the schedule year in, year out. The fourth game or the non-conference game goes back and forth to Stillwater and Norman every other year. Yeah, it's on solid footing.
That's a nice addition.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, to see a conference opponent prior to the weekend series, it's kind of like an appetizer for the meal, if you will, and you get prepared a little bit and go play it, and then when it comes back around a month or so later, you've got some familiarity with that team. So it's proven to be I think a good thing. I don't care for 5 of them where we had the home and home non-conference and then the 3, and then you run the risk in the conference tournament of playing each other 2 or 3 times and you've played one team 7 or 8 times in one season. I'm not for that. Neither's Coach Hughes. But I think the way we're doing it now, I think it works, and it gives both campuses every other year a chance to look forward to that Bedlam game, which I think is a good thing.
Any toy dinosaurs make it into the locker room yet?
Not yet. I don't think so. I think for little things like that come about after your first or second road trip when you get a chance to be together and really start to get to know one another and have some moments away from home. And our first road trip will be a great way to start. We go out and play a very good Grand Canyon team in what should be great weather, and then we get a chance to stick around and play Arizona State, which we really wanted to do, to be on the road and play really good competition and bring our teams just our overall intensity level, our overall appreciation for where we're at as a group, so that we know coming home what we've got to really dial into if we want to be the team that we envision ourselves being. So playing good teams on the road early in the year is a great way to start that process. As we saw last year, it was a painful way to start it, but the run our team made last year would not have been possible if not for the lessons learned early in the season and the ability to go on the road and beat an ACC team or an SEC team in their home park. We grew into that team, but we weren't at the beginning of the year. So I like the idea of every year trying to play the best teams out there that would play us, so that it can speed up our growth and create some reference points inside of our locker room.
Last year, it seemed like a sort of a brilliant trait to have, where you had Donnie, Connor, and Corey, who were all sort of the leaders of the team, but they sort of doubled as good friends, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess, who have you seen come together as the leaders, and what's the camaraderie been like so far?
Well, that's a great point. Those kids had you're talking about 3 kids that had played here for 4 years together. So that's a lot of common moments. And that's a thing across your locker room, where the investment of the group and what they've put into this program makes it incredibly difficult to take it away from them. And what I mean by take it away from them, I mean take them out of that uniform, and so their resolve to extend our season, their love for playing together, the sacrifices those kids made to come back for their senior year and not turn professional, they were as invested in this program as you can possibly be. You look at this year's team. Tyler Buffett turns down being drafted, Trey Cobb, Dustin Williams. It goes across the board once again. A number of kids are highly invested in playing baseball at Oklahoma State. From there, you just let them grow together, and there's a lot of great relationships in that room, and there's a lot of kids that love this place, and every year a new guy or two emerges that you didn't see coming. And last year we had great leadership emerge from a guy like Thomas Hatch, who the year before didn't pitch, and a kid like Corey Hassel goes from a really good program player to a fierce leader on the field. So you just enjoy the chance to play the season because of what the players do with the opportunities, and it's the fun in it, to see who emerges each and every year. And there's a pretty nice run of kids right here jumping on this All-American board, and I'm not sure anyone saw those coming either. So the belief in the player, the belief in our ability to go out there this year and take an opportunity and run with it. And that's the optimism that every team has going into this thing.
You mentioned that board. The last 4 guys were the year before, like you said, either didn't play or injured or anything like that. Who's that one person that you feel that we don't know about right now that could potentially be that guy on the list?
Don't know. That's why it'll be so fun to see. I think that outstanding performance is sometimes nothing more than a moment in time when a player discovers something about his game, and because he worked so hard to figure it out in the first place, he holds on to it, and then he carries it through the year. And sometimes it's a bit of confidence. Sometimes it's an adjustment physically. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to bust in there and get your chance. I don't know, and to think that every year a true first-team All-American is just going to come out of the woodwork, probably a little bit foolish. But all I want to see is each kid find his personal best. I want to see each kid find in him the best baseball he can play, and across the board try to help pull that out of each player. That's what we do each day. That's our goal for the kids. And if we do that, our team will be successful. So, again, we don't look down the road much. What can we do today to make that happen? Go to sleep, wake up the next day. What can we do today to get the most out of each kid? Those are the questions that we talk about each morning in the office, and then go out in the afternoon and enjoy trying to make that happen with them.
Take a page from Gundy. Does that make you a good coach or a good evaluator in recruiting?
Well, I have to think about that. Okay. I think I heard Coach Gundy's response on that. I think recruiting is fascinating. I think what we're all trying to find is which of these athletes have that trait in them where they want to be great. There's many of them that can throw hard, run fast, and swing, all those things. But what we're all trying to find is, does this kid have that personal quality that while he's on this campus, he will every single day wake up and try to be his best? If you find that, then that's when the players emerge. And so, yeah, we spent a lot of time in recruiting trying to identify makeup. What is this kid really all about? How much does he love this challenge? How committed to a team is he? Has he won before? Does he know what winning takes? Does he have a couple state championship rings in another sport? Do he'll reflect back on those moments and use them when things get tough here? Or the opposite, where the first time things don't go well, will he know how to handle it? So we're looking for makeup, we're looking for talent, and then put that young man in a position to be successful. So I think all coaches are trying to find kind of that magic button in each player, and you just got to know that it's in there.
As the way summer ball has shifted to more tournament teams as opposed to your American Legion teams playing 60 games this summer, has that made it harder to identify the kids that truly love the team element of the game?
I think you can still learn a lot about players and how they're wired from their teachers who see them in the classroom setting, who see them on their high school campuses with their peers, from their coaches in other sports that have observed them in a different setting. We have tremendous respect and value for their high school coaches who watch how that player interacts with his teammates and his peers and have known him for 2, 3, and in some cases 4 years, or even watched him grow up. And then also to see the people that have maybe come to know the kid in recent summers with the summer ball experience, because it is such a part of amateur baseball now. And it's a good part of amateur baseball, but it's just so you're trying to gain information on kids from all people that know them. But one thing's for sure, our guys are here to go to school. They're here to play ball. They're here to be good people, and they're here to do that in a team setting. And so guys that have leadership qualities that have presented themselves in a team setting, that's an incredibly valuable thing to know and have in your program. So we value all of those things, but we certainly enjoy watching a kid play for a state championship. That's an exciting thing to see a kid perform in that setting.
Steady in progress?
Yeah, we're doing really good. We've had great support since day one. I mean, 4 years ago, and the support's always been great. The things that we had to do to build the program and build our coaching staff and treat our players the way we felt like they needed to be treated to grow this program has been there from day one. And the energy behind our stadium plan has continued to grow. And it's important to not only us as a baseball program, but to our athletic department. And I know Coach Holder and the guys up the street, they care deeply about baseball, and we've made nice progress with it. And whenever that progress is kind of wrapped up, we'll let you know. But the energy for baseball and the long-term plan for OSU baseball has never been better.
The hardcore people have been waiting for a long time. Are you starting to see people outside the inner circle asking, looking more for?
I just think in a project where you're trying to build a state-of-the-art facility, especially a large one, it's just a big project, and it just takes time. And I mean, I don't know of a place that has a more amazing group of core contributors and boosters in our school. The year in, year out consistency that people support us in all sports is awesome. I mean, you look at all the different sports on our campus and the great venues and the success of so many teams. That's a real strong statement about Oklahoma State.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
What's up, guys? Seat's warm. I know. Got it warmed up.
Everybody good? Okay. We'll start off with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll open for questions.
All right. We get started Friday. LSU or against McNeese, but headed to LSU. I'm excited about this group. Feels like off season has gone by fast. Got a lot of new kids, and I know that they're excited about getting back out there. And I think we as a staff are excited as well about seeing these kids go. A lot of returners back, a lot of starters back, a lot of experience back. So I think that's a different feel than what we had this past year. But we still have a lot of new kids that, we still don't know what we're going to get. So it's kind of an intriguing time to see what they're going to bring. So get started 2 games Friday, 2 Saturday, finish 1 Sunday. And, I wish I could be on that plane flight now to know what's going to happen, but looking forward to seeing what that brings.
Coach, this is the first group of freshmen that you had that's kind of been, in the culture you built last year. How you've seen them embrace, the culture now that you have on the Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I'm thrilled with our kids who are back and what they worked so hard to develop in our first year. It's a bummer that we had kids that we only got to be with for 1 year because they were important to us. And I wish they could, at times I wish that we could have them for more time to give them that same feel. But these kids that we have back have continued to build. Let's face it. In this day and age, everybody's working hard, and these kids are no different than anybody else. But they continue to build, and I think that's one of the the biggest challenges that we face as coaches is how to keep motivating kids. There's just so much at their fingertips, and so much that they have available to them each day, each year. That's the biggest challenge is just keeping the message fresh. While continuing to build the culture that we want to have.
Vanessa should be on a national watch list. How is she managing those expectations, and has she kind of developed into a leader, knowing that she's, there's those expectations for her?
Yeah, I feel like she's managed that well. It's not easy, and we haven't had a lot of that around here in recent years. We've got a ton of that history. And that's one of the main reasons why we've really tried to reach our alumni base and get them here. Because I want Michelle and Lauren Bay and some of these kids that have been fixtures here to be around our program. I think that's important for our kids to hear their stories. But when you don't have that recent success, she's kind of charting it, or she's kind of, drifting there in uncharted waters for our kids. So feel like she's done it well. It's not easy. There is obviously it's a different type of pressure or expectation, but it's why I came here. I came here because I knew that there would be expectations here. I wanted to be at a place that expects us to win and wants us to win, and you got to have those type of kids, and I think that she's done a great job. I think she's grown a ton in the last year and a half. She's done a better job. I think one of the things that we saw right away is her emotions are worn right there on her sleeve every single day, and we challenged her to control that from day one, and she's done just a better job every single day. I expect her to have a big year. I think she expects that. As long as she does what she's capable of, and she's going to do it at catcher, she's going to do it at first base, and she'll do it a little bit in our outfield. I'm sure. But I've just asked her to just manage the emotional roller coaster of not knowing where you might be each day, especially in the first 30 games.
You talked about Vanessa's versatility a little bit. You have her who can play a few different positions, and Taylor Lynch can do the same. How important is it to have a few different players that can play all around the diamond?
Yeah, it's big. In our game, the way our rules work, we have some quirky rules where you can re-enter and do some interesting things. So with that, it's very helpful to have people who can play multiple positions, and they can I can bring somebody into pinch run and put somebody back in, and where it really comes in to play is if you have a pitcher who can hit, because then you can really do some fun things. But having her and Lynch to be able to, I tell you, they are the most unselfish kids. In fact, that I can ask them to, I can go to Lynch and say, hey, you're going to play outfield here, you're going to play second here, and you're going to play some first base, and never bat an eye. And that's the unselfishness. That's the culture that I want to have here, and they've built that, and it's a blessing.
How much of that, using Vanessa in most different positions, going to be because of her talent, or is it because trying to find the right fit for those positions while you're working her around?
Yeah, I think for Vanessa, I can't catch her every day. We caught her probably 95% of our innings once she started to catch, and it's not a very well-known fact, but the last 10 days of our year, she was playing with I don't remember. I don't know if it was a hip or a groin, but it was. She was banged up, and we're literally one swing, one bad move away from having essentially nobody there, and in the most crucial part of our whole year. So she did that. She continued to be a force. She continued to defend as good as she could and lead us from there. We've built a little more depth now. So she's going to catch half at least, but I would say about half, in these first 25 to 30 games, and then we'll see where that shakes out. But it's just I need to take care of her. I need to do a good job of managing her innings and managing her body. She plays reckless too, and that's what I want. And so it's kind of that, be careful what you wish for. But I'll take that all day long. And I've got a few kids that are starting to play just like her. And if we're gonna get beat or we're gonna get banged up, I'd rather get banged up going hard. And she's one of those kids that epitomizes playing hard and giving everything that she's got each day. So I just need to do a good job of managing her and keeping her healthy so we can make a stretch run again.
How do you see Mackenzie Thomas grow and you embrace that catcher role? Do you think there's a part of the season where she can kind of take the duties away from Vanessa a little bit on the plate?
Yeah, she's she's a kid who joined us at the fall break. She's a kid that's has come in here and gotten better fast. She can really throw, which is going to help us. I think the hardest thing for a catcher or a new kid that comes in at the break is she's got to learn 5 new pitchers and what they throw, and when they miss, where do they miss, and when they spin it wrong, where does it go wrong? And it's a different deal than baseball to a certain extent. The ball does funny things because it's a bigger ball and they spin it crazy. So she's learning that. We're gonna take some lumps on probably some pass balls and things like that. But that I know we've got to have that. And I'm just going to have to just keep my cool and just, understand that that's going to happen and just remind her, hey, you just got to continue to focus. That's her biggest thing is if she loses focus at all, it's when it's going to bite us bad. So, but she's a kid who's going to catch, and her bat's improving. But I'm a guy that says it's I'm willing to give up some offense at shortstop and catcher, and if they can shut things down there, then we'll make it work. So I'm excited to see what she's going to bring.
You mentioned 5 different pitchers. How is that position shaking out right now?
I'll let you know next week. I think I've said this from day one. This is probably going to be my toughest job is understanding how to manage these kids. We have 5 completely different looks and 5 kids that are working their tails off. So I've got kids that understand. We've got 5 kids. They're very aware. We've told them that we're gonna have a quick hook. We're gonna go on what we see. Needham's a kid that's the last year through 3 or 4 innings was as good as anybody that we had, and then it just kind of started to unravel. And it's extremely difficult to take a kid out when they're through 4 innings and they've given up 2 hits and no runs. But you have a history of 5, 6, and 7 not going well. Part of that is we didn't have a ton of depth. We didn't know what we were going to get out of Shea Coates. I really didn't know what we were going to get out of Freeze until late. It just we really just being new. It's just a learning curve. So, but I do know this about Brandy is that if she gets us 4 and we're in great shape, I'm probably going to make a move. I've learned that, and so we've got options, we've got depth, we've got kids that can match up against other kids, and so I'm excited. But I'm very aware that that's probably going to be the toughest part of my job this year is understanding when to make a move.
Life-wise, seems like obviously last year was a huge year for you. I guess what are some of the things that you learned from last year, life-wise, coming into this year?
Life-wise, I'm a little bit better at managing my staff. I mean, that was, to tell you the truth, that was the hardest thing that I had. Our pitching coach, for health reasons, was gone for 30 days, right in the middle of our year. That's probably the hardest coaching thing I had to go through this past year, because she was really the only one who threw BP. So I had to force myself into that role too. I brought in our director of ops, Jeff, who can throw too, and has a tremendous softball background. So he helped us there. I think it helped our staff too, some, but I think they definitely missed her. So I just had to learn how to manage that. I thought when I got that call, I was like, wow, I can't believe that this is happening to us right now. But maybe it was one of the best things looking back that could have happened for me. I'm learning how to manage them. I'm learning how to delegate more. Boy, you get into a new job and I'm a control freak. I think it's what makes me good at times. It makes me bad at times. I need to let things go. I need to put responsibility into them. So I'm way better at that. I'm learning how to manage my family through all this, friends, family. I'm learning how to manage my history, being from a different school right down the road. I think we finally got past that. I was growing tired of answering that kind of stuff, for a while. But I understand that. I think we've shown that this is home, that this is where we want to be for a long time. This is our job. We love this school. We love this town. And we're just, like I said, we're just learning how Oklahoma State as a family works and how the dynamic works. So I think we've really grown. We've got a long way to go. We know that, but I love the challenge.
Have there been any deals made yet with Coach Smith or any other sports teams?
No, no bets at this point. I can be bought though. Our girls know that. So I'm all ears if they've got some stuff. I mean, they've been asking me about orange cleats, and I said, hey, I mean, give me something. You gotta earn stuff. But no more deals at this time. I'm glad that one is over with. And I tell you what, it really worked out to be one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I think it meant a lot to our kids that I followed through on that. It's the last place I ever want to be again, is on that stage, in front of that many people. Just thank God I didn't have to wear a singlet. That would have been, that'd have been bad for all of you. But it was a great deal. I just the fact that I get to be around Josh and John and Brad and all these guys. I can't even Chris Young. I can't even tell you how lucky I am. I mean, I've been around some great coaches, but to sit in a Coach Holder's office and you go up there and you're going to get coached. I need to tell you that. And there's a lesson out of every time you talk. And so I've just tried to be the best listener that I can be and pick all of these guys' brains. And I finally at a point, we talked about life. My personal life, my coaching life is it's slowing down some. Like it's somewhat of a normal day. Last year, I mean, I would look up and it's 2. It's time to go outside, and I wasn't ready yet. And I'm ready most days now. But the first year, I can tell you that it was a blur.
Coach, you played a few games in the fall. What did you learn from that fall season, and what have you been working on since?
Well, the one thing I saw, we're fast. We're left-handed, which I love. We have a ton of lefties. We're gonna start 7 on most days, which in our game is a big deal. We can really run. We've got a lot of experience back. We've got a lot of young kids with Shippey and Lynch and Montgomery and Holcomb. These are young kids that have had a ton of games played, a ton of at-bats. Postseason, 5 games worth, some big at-bats, some crucial games, if games, elimination games. We've got a lot of experience back. So we've learned that we're deeper, we're more talented. We've learned we're not as good of a team yet. We're getting there. I feel like it's really come together here in the last 6 weeks. I feel like it's really starting to gel. And I think part of that is I think all of us want that to happen just right away. You want to just pick up from last year, but it's when you have 11 new kids, it just doesn't happen. And you can't force that. Things have to work their way through. You've got new kids that want to be like the older kids. You got older kids that, man, last year was a blast, and you kind of get caught up in that group, and I feel like they've really kind of opened themselves up and let these other kids in. And so that being said, we're starting to get a peek at what we might be. I think they understand me and my staff. I'm not the easiest guy at times to get. I'm a sarcastic guy at times, and they're getting that. I've got a couple kids that you'll have a chance to talk to here today that last year probably questioned whether they wanted to be here or not, and they're as bought in as anybody that I've got now. So I think we still have a lot of unknown. I feel like we know we have a year now and we know about those kids, but we've still got a lot of kids that are going to be a big factor for us that we still don't know about. We still really don't know, even though you play in the fall. But I can tell you this, I have some kids who can really compete, and play hard and want to win for OSU and for their teammates. And I think that's all I can ask for.
Sitting here in the baseball stadium, seeing them make that run that they did last year, how much excitement did that bring to your girls, seeing the success here at Oklahoma State in a similar sport, making that run to the national stage?
Yeah, I think it's awesome because I think we've got some girls here that are good friends with the baseball guys, and obviously we've got a ton of respect for what they do. They come watch a lot of these baseball games. All it does. I mean, I looked at it and just smiling because I know it's great for Josh and his team, but I smile because I know that our kids are watching that. And when you're watching it and you're invested, or you're have a connection with guys like that, I gotta think if you're a competitive person, all you want to do is be in their shoes. And so I think it was a great experience for all of us, and that's why I'm here. I want to be at a place where everybody's competitive, because you want to be like everybody else or better, and to do that you got to get there. So I'm thrilled for Josh and his club, and I know that they're excited about this year, and I know they're pulling for us, and we're pulling on them too. I mean, and I think we can learn from each other. We really can.
Big Gold tourney's back the first time in 7 years. How does that affect your schedule and possible seeding for postseason?
I think it's I think for the most part, a lot of that seeding for postseason is already done or close. I think it's great. I'm glad it's back. It should be back. And it's obvious that the TV powers wanted this thing back. So why it left, I don't totally understand and know, and I don't really care to know it because I wasn't here. But I'm just glad it's back, and the more exposure that we can get for OSU, the better it is. It's more TV, it's more games, and it gives us a chance that if we're not, if we're a bubble team, that we have a chance to control ourselves and go win that thing. And I love it. I love any type of postseason play. I think it just prepares you, and that's why we play a good schedule too, and we'll continue to play that. We're going to prepare ourselves to be the best at the very end.
Last year's class was sort of the last group that was sort of instilled in Willigman's culture and everything that was going on. I guess what sort of benefits have you seen knowing that this year is sort of the year that you're sort of taking hold of the culture and everything? That last year was a little bit of a transition. This year you really got to hold on. And what are the benefits have you seen?
Yeah, I've known Rich for a long time. He's a good dude, and times just don't go well. And I told these kids when I called them all, got this job, started calling them, just going down the roster. I just printed it offline. I asked Jesse Martin. I said, "Hey, I need phones ASAP," and I just started calling them. and I just said, hey, I know that you didn't choose me, but I chose you. And I think when you do that, you start for the female student athlete, trust is the number one thing. I imagine that's for Josh too, but for them, I had to start building trust from the first moment. I think it helped from where I came from, but we didn't talk about the past. We just didn't. We just said, "Hey, this is where we are today, and this is where we're gonna go." And if you trust me in time, I'll earn your trust. Our staff will earn your guys' trust. It's gonna be the hardest thing you've ever done. But you'll look back and go, that was the best year you've ever had. Win or lose, it'll be the best year you've ever had here. And you'll have to ask them, but I think they had a great time. And so, I felt like when I walked in that door the first day that this was good. They were in, the attitudes were great. So I don't know that there was too much of a backlash. I think they were hungry to be great.
How much did getting back to the postseason maybe solidify that trust in you because of the fact that it had been a few years since the program had been in the postseason in general?
Yeah, I think for them that was probably good. That's all we talk about is winning. It's all we talk about. We talk about winning at everything, winning at school, winning off the field, being great people. They've done that. They do that with their eyes closed. I couldn't be around a better group of kids. But I think getting back there felt good because, when you talk about it, I believed it because I'd been there a bunch. And I've been there everywhere I've been. But there's always doubt when you're in their shoes. There's always doubt when things weren't going well in conference. We didn't exactly light the conference up. It wasn't exactly what I had drawn up. There were some losses there that I still to this day shake my head at and go, I don't even understand how we could play that poorly. But it's the beauty of the journey that you look back on and say that was probably the best thing that could have happened to that team. Now I really don't want to go through that again. But for that team, they were able to bounce back from things that I don't know if they thought they could bounce back from. And it was fun to just watch them take those steps. And then I think probably the coolest thing I saw the whole year was the night we got in. I already knew. I got a phone call about 5 minutes beforehand, and I got a text first and said, call me. And it was from a good friend. And he said, hey, you guys are in. And I was like, oh man, my heart just went. So I went to the front of that room and sat there and looked and was, they were all in the chairs and sitting up in front and watching back at them. And to watch that, man, that was the coolest thing. And so for them, I think that was probably the highlight of their year, to hear their name called and to hear Michelle on TV talk good about us was really awesome. And then to really hear it for sure, to watch them go crazy, and then to go. They played free, they played loose, and I think they showed themselves that everything that we had talked to them about, everything that we had told them that was going to happen, it happened, and it kind of may not have followed the path, but it happened. And I just had a blast to watch them. Those last 5 games, I felt like it was the first time I got to just drive. I just drove. And I felt like a lot of our year, I felt like I was trying to do a lot of stuff. I felt like I was trying to put in gas and trying to do this and this and this. And at the end, I just drove. They did it. And I think that's maybe just getting to manage the 56 games and getting a little bit more experience under my belt. But I think it was them. They had bought in and were just playing free. And postseason's a big deal. This program, I mean, it's full of history. And again, it's why I came back here. And it's what our girls look at every single day when they walk in. They see the history, they see the All-Americans, they see the academic All-Americans, they see the World Series balls. I mean, it wasn't up there when I got here. And it's the first thing I wanted up. I wanted them to embrace that and to know, hey, they built this place. You're lucky that you have this. You know, we're gonna make the most of this, and we're gonna leave this place better than they found it. And so I think that's the whole deal. We had our banquet this past week, and Lauren Bay was up there, and she had a comment that was awesome. You know, she'd taken trips all over, and people were rolling the red carpet out, and none of it felt good. And she came here, and Sandy Fisher brought her in. They had no field. They were practicing and playing over at Couch Park. And Sandy sat her down and said, "Hey, what you see is what you get." And she said, "Man, it just felt like home." And hey, we've got a lot more than that now. But hey, what you see is what you get. And it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of love. It's a lot of family. It's a lot of my little kids running all around and causing havoc with all of them. But it's normal. It's their normal life, and that's what I want. So it was a good deal.
Anything else? Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.